I'd like to show you how I'm making the sprig stitch mitten. And I am starting off with a bit of a long tail because I'm going to use this tail to sew the two ends together. So maybe, a little bit more than a foot will be fine. I'm starting with 12 chains. And again, the yarn I'm using is Mittens roving wool. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And actually, I just learned I've been saying that word wrong. It's actually Mittens. So Mittens classic wool, but this is roving. And I like that. It is a bulky size 5. So my pattern is specific to this yarn. I'm using a K-hook and specific kind of to my own personal tension. So if you want to use different yarn, just measure your wrist and see how many chain you get. Okay, so I've turned my chain over because I want to do this first row into these bumps on the back. So I'm going to count out 1 and 2, and I'm going to work into the third one. I'm yarning over, inserting my hook, pulling through, and pulling through all of the loops on the chain, on the hook, sorry. This is called, I used to I just labeled it on my Instagram channel and on my YouTube channel when I made the video, kind of a half double crochet back loop only slip stitch, which I guess I've seen now it called not a double slip stitch, but a half double slip stitch. And that makes sense to me. But I am working it just this first row into the bumps on the back of the chain. When I start the next row, I will be working it into the back loops. So you're just going to continue to pull through all the loops. Don't yarn over again, just the 2 times. Once then, and then pull through once then. I'm chaining 2 and turning, and this chain 2 will never act as a stitch. It just is simply for height. So now you want to make sure that you did get all 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, this chain 2 down here just acts as height. So there's your 10. And I'm going to now work into the back loop with the exact same stitch, a half double slip stitch. And I'm going to do this for a total of 20 rows. So I'm working on my second row right now. And it's a little tricky just right at the first, just because you don't have a whole lot to hang on to. There you go. I'll work just to the chain 2 and then I'll come back when it's time to join. Here's my last stitch. Okay, sometimes I just still want to make sure I've got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. I'm chaining 2. I am turning my work towards me, looking for that back loop, which will be right there. That's that stitch. Okay, so if you do this for 20 rows, you're going to get a very nice ribbed look that will make the wrist part of your mitten look really nice. Okay, did you get your rows done? I'm on row 19. So I thought I'd come back and I'll chain 2, but this is what I'm saying. So on row 19, the tail is up there. And on row 20, I've chained 2 and I'm turning. And I am working this last half double slip stitch into the back loop one last time. I need to get some more slack, sorry. Okay. Okay, so in the pattern, I've written down that you're going to go ahead and like make this loop kind of big, and then you're going to take your hook out because we're going to be coming back to that. You don't want it to pull out accidentally. So here can be a tiny bit tricky, and honestly, if you have a better way of doing this to disguise the seam, I'd love to know it. This is just one way that I've come up with. Because I wanted to make it, you know, look as much like the top that I could. So usually I do have a hard time figuring out, okay, did I need to go this way or was I supposed to go around this way? And I believe I want to go around that way. There you go. Because then if I'm working through both loops of this chain, and the back loop over here, I mean under here, this would be the back loop way down in here, then I'm still going to have that braid on top. Okay, so I will thread my tapestry needle. And a tapestry needle, if you don't know, is just one of these with a big eye and a really blunt tip. So I start by working underneath that first back loop. And this one, I think my yarn is a little bit funny, so that's with the roving. Some are, you know, thin and thick. And I go ahead and I just kind of work in a spiral manner, kind of back up through this back loop. And I just kind of go around. So I'm going underneath both and then up through this back loop. Can you see that? Okay, hopefully you can. That's all I'm doing. So I'm trying to do it evenly across. I hope I am. Pretty sure I am. I go through those two and I come up through that back loop. Just there's those ones. Maybe that, you can see that a little bit better. Pull it tight. So I'm going down underneath that first chain. And I think that's another, also a great reason to work into the back loops at the very first of your starting chain. Okay, I've got one more to go. And then I just kind of, I do go ahead and work into that last chain, even though I'm going to come back, but just be careful, just because you want it to, you don't want to leave a hole. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always come back later when you weave this end in. So anyway, then you'll take this out and you're going to leave this tail. Don't cut it out, don't weave it in yet, because this is now your place marker. Okay, so I think that looks pretty well hidden, and you've got a little, you've got your braid there, and but like I say, if you have a better way, okay, then do that way. So now I'm going to come back to my, leave that tail out, to my work, and I'm going to continue around in this direction. And I'm going to work 27 single crochet around this little wrist. And we only have 20 stitches. And so we don't need 40. So I can't even tell you it's 2 per, it's just, I just start counting. And if I work fairly close together and try to get these, get them into this hole, and then also work in this hole, and I just kind of count and I evenly space them. It just sort of works out. But, just do your best to get 27 somewhat evenly spaced single crochet, because there's just, I can't tell you do 1 to 1 because that would only give you 20. So, but you got to add 7 in there around. And so far the times this is my 3rd one I'm making, and it has worked out. So that's what you're going to do. And I will finish that up and come back, and I'll show you how to just get your first row of the sprig stitch going. Okay, I have my 27 single crochet all around the top, and I'm right back to where I put my very first, where we very first started with a single crochet. It's my very first stitch. I'm not going to join, I'm not going to do anything, but I'm going to always note this is my stitch marker. So this will be the start of my sprig stitch, but we have to make a base row. And I've adapted this from my bun beanie pattern, and I'm going to eliminate 1 stitch out of here. If you've done the bun beanie, you'll know. But anyway, I'm going to work 2 single crochet right into that first stitch. I will chain 2, and in the next stitch, I'll work 2 more single crochet. Now, in the bun beanie, you skip 2 stitches. In this pattern, you're just going to skip 1. And then you're going to work 2 single crochet, chain 2, oops, and work 2 more into the next stitch. Skip 1, work your 2 single crochet, chain 2, work 2 single crochet. Now you're going to go ahead and keep repeating this around, and at the end you hopefully will have 9 little chain 2 spaces, and that has created the base. And then from here on out we'll always be working into those chain 2 spaces. You won't have to worry about finding the right stitch to go into, and it becomes really fairly easy. I'm just here at the end of my 3rd row, and I thought I'd actually stop and let you customize if you need to. If you wanted a smaller size, this is just for my hand. I'm going to have to do another row, but I like the end of the ribbing to land right here on your wrist. So obviously I've got to go 1 more row before I create the thumb hole space. But if you have a smaller hand than me, or maybe you're making this for a child and you need to go smaller, don't go. Basically all it is to make the thumb hole space is you're just skipping over these next 2. So you could just start here and you just come right over here and start working your sprig stitch into that. But I'm going to go ahead and go around 1 more row, and then I will on the 5th row I will come to here, finish, and then I'll just start doing over here, and I'll work all the rest of the rows to the top, and then I'll end with slip stitching at the top. And then I guess I'll come back and I'll show you how I join to finish out the thumb. Other than that, this is such a great, easy pattern. I love it. Okay, all right, bye. Okay, I'm back to where I want to add the thumb. I'll just show you the top, what it looks like. I just slip stitch around, brought those in, did a couple extra across, and now I have the tail, and when I go to weave in the ends, I'll just kind of pull that in tighter, but that's all that looks like. So just, there's still a little hole, so I'll probably go back and forth a little bit. And now for the thumb. Okay, so here are the 2 that we skipped over. And so if you think about it, what we really want to do is, I don't want to start on top of these 2. I want to finish and add 2 more into here so that then we're still working even rounds. So all I do is that I'm going to go, okay, so here's my chain 2 and here's those 2 single crochet. I'm going to go into the next stitch right there and I'm going to pull up a loop just like that. I leave a little bit of a tail and then I just kind of do a stitch on it, pull that down tight, and then I just go ahead and work right into that over the tail, and I'm going to work the 2 single crochet. Then I will chain 2, and then I'll go to the next stitch, and that will be my first sprig stitch right there. Now I need to skip one and go over to this other side, and you can see there's that, and then here they are over here. So I just work right into that one and work 2 single crochet and 2 chains, and in the next stitch I work 2 single crochet. And now I've created the 4, that makes round 1, and now I'm just going to work right into the top, underneath those 2 chains, and start the next row. So I believe I work just a total of 3 rounds of this. I don't know, I'll try it on and see, but I think that's what I wrote down in the pattern. But this is what I was going to suggest, is really just start trying it on and see how long your fingers are. It's totally adjustable. So here I am back. Working around, chaining 2, getting my sprig stitch in there. And I think the last thing I want to tell you, because you're going to close up this thumb just the same way you closed up the top. But the last thing I want to tell you is that this right now is inside out. You've been working around and around, but the stitch that's the prettiest is actually on the inside. So when you're completely finished, I'm going to have you pull this in, and the sprig stitch side that you're going to want to see is on this side. So when you're done, you're going to pull that out. You're going to see that. So I guess I'll just show you, and I'll go back and make that thumb. But see how pretty that is? And this pattern can be for your, see how it looks really, this is the right side. So this pattern can be for your right hand, or just simply turn it over and it can be for your left hand. So either way works. And there's your pair of mittens. I'll finish that up. So I really hope that that makes sense to you and you've got it and you're just like, oh my gosh, that looks so pretty, and it is so, so easy. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Bye.